Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 147. Yes, I remember the episode 147 of Bloody Thumbs Podcast. As always, I am Supporter47 here, joined by C.H. Gorog. In the flesh. Well, sort of in the flesh. Virtually in the flesh.
In the vocals.
In the vocals, that's right. It's 2014, folks. What was the last episode we did was in December.
Whoa! That's ridiculous.
It's crazy. I just also wrapped up listening to some podcasts. One including, believe it or not, like a 7-hour podcast. It was phenomenal. It just covered almost every game they played of the year 2013, by going month by month, and it took me about 4 days to finish that whole podcast. But hey, that's good content for me because I like listening to the Midnight Resistance podcast. So that's good stuff.
I myself did branch out into. I'm not a big sports guy. If one of the DC-based teams start playing, then I'm interested. Like the Caps, the Nationals, the Redskins. The Redskins, we essentially screw it up always in the second half, no matter what game we're playing. But hey, you know what? We got heart in that area. Hey, if people can still be dedicated to the Cubs, then I can be dedicated to the Redskins. And
fair enough.
For myself, I also learned about. The really, really strange incident of Benoit in the WWE.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was? Do you happen to know about this guy?
Chris Benoit. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That really, really. Was it WWE or WCW or UPN or whatever the wrestling 3-letter?
Well, pretty much, yeah. It's like I believe he was in WCW and WWE, formerly the WWF, before they had to change their name due to legal reasons. But so yeah, he was a part of those organizations for a while.
Yeah, and it's just that really, really terrible story of essentially he easy and. He just essentially he killed his family and then himself.
Yeah.
And that was like a day or very, very close after they had the Wrestling Federation had like a big tribute to him in a very loving manner. And so now they just slowly and steadily started to erase the past or any mentions of Benoit or a lot of the matches that they had, in the post era of him, to the point where like they're essentially just trying to erase out the history of that, and it's just I'm just listening to the Two Best Friends videos, and they always bring up Benoit. Either that or I think Ego the Living Planet from Marvel. It's one of those weird reoccurring jokes that it finally got me interested in just seeing, okay, who is this person? I'd like to know more. And then I kind of wish I didn't because of how sad the ending is.
Yeah, he was a really good wrestler. Just like after that whole incident, it just, like you said, they just kind of swept everything he's done out of the carpet there. Like they just like rarely any mention of him. Barely any footage you ever see of his matches get shown on the shows for WWE. I think slowly but surely they're starting to creep out a little bit, but there's kind of not really bringing him up that much just because of that whole incident that is tied. So I guess they don't want to bring back bad memories. It's the same with some other wrestlers as well that had their own unfortunate fates.
Yeah.
But there's some big things coming as well. I was always curious to know what you'd be like if you're a wrestling fan. I'd like to get your opinion on some of the current state of wrestling these days.
It's the only reason I'm not really a big fan of wrestling is because I get enough of the soap opera drama in comic books and superheroes and stuff like that. Like if I didn't already like pay attention to the crap that's going on in Spider-Man, then I'd be completely down for what it's doing this week, or what back corridor shenanigans are going on. Like, oh, like I would absolutely love it if I didn't already have a slavish devotion to that and the sci-fi shows and the stuff that I'm reading. I picked up a Dangerous Visions, which was an anthology edited by Harlan Ellison, and I'm just reading that, and it just like for me, the wrestling stuff, it seems like it should be right up my alley. It's got everything I love, which is violence, the need to prove yourself, great theme music, and just the air of these people. These people are essentially superheroes, just going out with like masks and capes, like, yeah, you took down my brother, and now I'm going to take down you. And I would be a big fan. Just that I've got too much of that going on already. So if maybe Star Wars and Lord of the Rings didn't exist, I would definitely be center stage yelling at Hogan to take down The Rock or whatever contemporary was at that. I don't know. Like I'm
you're going with the classics there.
Well versed with the history.
Oh yeah. No, that it would be. We got to do something like that one day if you ever have the time. We gotta watch. I gotta have you watch a pay-per-view from the '90s and just. Well, you and I will watch it, and then we'll like do a podcast after it, discussing each match, and then what your impressions on some wrestlers. I think wrestling nowadays and the past, it did a pretty good job explaining a lot of the stories that go on. So it's not like you have to watch it on a constant basis. They do a pretty good job of recapping almost everything. So I think it'd be
it's not
really
like
easy
Lost.
Right in. Yeah, it ain't
it's
Lost.
It's not as complicated as Lost.
No, not that complicated. They lay it out to you pretty good. Pretty
but I
thoroughly.
bet that the endings are much better than in Lost. Like at the end of each episode, you're like, no, I can see how it fits in the larger circle, rather than just like, oh, I don't know what the fuck I just watched, but I'm pretty sure I just wasted my time.
No, I get that. I get that a lot with wrestling every now and then, so it's not too far off. Not too far off. Yeah, we definitely should do that. That'd be an interesting experiment. CH watches wrestling. Watches a pay-per-view.
I'll do a running commentary of I'll have a notepad next to me with a pen, just write down things I find interesting. Just that man seems very angry. I don't know why. These fans are obviously very, very inebriated, but that adds an air of mystery to the entire proceedings, seeing how it all proceeds.
I think this would be a good idea. I think people are listening now. You got to send me some suggestions on some pay-per-views you should watch. I think there's definitely some good pay-per-views from the Attitude Era. I just got to remember them, and just the good moments in them, just the hilarious moments, or maybe just an episode of Raw from the 90s. There's definitely some memorable moments in there. So we got to do that one day. Watch it, and then come back and do a podcast on that particular wrestling pay-per-view or show. That'd be fun.
I'm very not knowledgeable in this area, and it's even if it was even if there's time and everyone should know it by heart, I probably don't know it. So if you want me to watch any video, I promise you I will not spoil it for myself. I will watch it completely spoiled free, just going in completely fresh into that experience.
We gotta do that one day. It's that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of fun,
yes, indeed.
What have you been playing?
I've been trying to download Hitman, the new Hitman Absolution game, or relatively new.
Yes.
And I can only get past loading, which for the first level, where it's. I downloaded it off of. It was a sale going on Xbox Live, and so I decided to download it because I really like Blood Money, and I want to see where the next Hitman game would go. And then apparently it didn't go anywhere because my entire system froze up and crashed.
It's very
so
unfortunate.
I just decided to. Yeah, and there's a lot. I'm gonna try to find a physical copy.
Yeah, I've heard some issues from some other people that whenever they downloaded something from the Xbox Live, it just the console would freeze up on them, and I don't know if this is something that's going on or just a rare occurrence, but yeah, hopefully you get to play that soon, because I did like Absolution, not as much as Blood Money. I feel that Absolution, for what it was, it's a great game. It's more of a next gen Hitman. It's a bit less open world-ish than than Blood Money. It's a bit more linear in some of the areas you can go to, but there's still that little sense of freedom in terms of accomplishing your tasks. So I still think it's pretty good. I know that they announced an open letter, which I'm very excited about, that IO is working on another Hitman game for next gen, and which is very promising because they're pretty much went on to say that it's going to be going back to his roots of Blood Money. It's going to be more open world and a lot more things at your disposal to do compared to Absolution, which was a bit more of a linear experience. But this is very good. I think this is going to be quite promising. It's going to be like it's Blood Money, but on next gen consoles, man.
Next gen Blood, son. Hearing you say that, it makes me think a lot about, similarly in the franchise and genre that's kind of close to is Splinter Cell, where Blood Money and Chaos Theory are kind of respectfully thought of as the best of each series, where it's like Blood Money was the best one of the Hitman series and Chaos Theory was the best one of the Splinter Cell series. And then the next gen version was, it was good, like with Hitman Absolution and Splinter Cell Conviction, as kind of like, okay, this is good, it's nice, it's focused on next gen, but not hitting the great highs of the now, like, coming back, it seems to be a little bit more focused in on what people want, like with Splinter Cell Blacklist. That one was very much focused on the idea of like, okay, we're going to give everyone all the options. We're going to combine Chaos Theory and Conviction into kind of one awesome big game. And it now
Yellow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I lost it. No worries. But yeah, I just think that the next Hitman game, I think, much like Splinter Cell, they've kind of seen what people liked and didn't like about the new iteration, and will kind of combine the best of the old stuff and best of the new stuff together. Yeah,
I look forward to it a lot. I mean, definitely the thing that stood out for me the most for Absolution, I just liked the presentation. It looked really good. It's quite far the best looking Hitman game, and it was still good to get the original voice actors still doing the voice of Agent 47. That was still a warm welcome to have him in there, and just I think it's a solid game. The only really small thing I didn't like about it is like as you play the game, you'll get a score tracker on the top right of your screen the whole game. So if you depending on what you do, either your score will go up or down. And I don't know, it just kind of bothered me. It's like I just want to play this game and not really care about the getting a high score or just seeing what rating I'm going to get right now, and then depending on when I finish the game, just seeing it tally up what I did and didn't do, and then get that final score.
Yeah,
but that's the only thing. It kind of reminded me a little bit of, I think there was another game that did that to that same effect. It was also it's kind of like similar to DMC, which I did play. Oh, DMC.
Ooh,
I'll get into that a little bit.
I want to get you.
But yeah, I'll get into that a little bit. But DMC wasn't so bad, But Absolution for some reason kind of bothered me a little bit. But as long as you ignore it and just forget about getting the best score you can, I think you'll have a good experience and not worry about it.
I think it's naturally because it's a stealth game that it should kind of be based more upon the idea of completing your objective any way possible. Stealth will probably earn you some more points, but not really. It shouldn't really judge you when you don't do something right. Like, for instance, Mark of the Ninja and Splinter Cell Blacklist. They got a very, very comprehensive scoring system, but they don't like tell you like, oh, you completely messed up by not doing this. Where I think like DMC and Hack and Slashers and Bayonetta and God of War, they're all about like having the most interesting and varied attack combinations, and Yeah, and for that like style, like while I almost wish that they had an MC just to take off the scoring system, yeah, it's not too bad just because of the fact that it's all about the styles and like creating crazy combos and chains to deal with a lot of enemies.
Yeah, Absolution. That was a small pet peeve of mine. Is not too bad. Wish they had an option to switch it out, but in overall retrospect of that, I think the way to get really the best score if you really get into that is just be a complete ghost and not kill anybody and not shoot anybody, and just that will be your main objective, is just not even be seen as ghost is the highest ranking you can pretty much get. But regardless, the other ratings you do get are good too, but it does add a lot of replay value if you kind of look at it that way. But wish it was an option to switch that off, but nonetheless, still a great experience to play. I mean, you get to see 47 in luchador costume whoop a guy with twice his size. I thought that was pretty awesome.
I'm thinking about Square Enix with owning IO with the Hitman franchise, and I'm thinking to myself, Square Enix, like, they like to have they like to cross promote their stuff in terms of like, oh, if you buy this game, or if you pre-order, we'll get you this free costume from this other franchise that you can play in this game. I'm thinking, why doesn't Agent 47 get one of the costumes from Lightning in Final Fantasy 13 2 or Lightning Returns? I'm just saying it. Like, why not? Like, I think Agent 47 could really work frills. That's all I'm asking.
I wouldn't mind it. It is odd that they do that. They do cross promote a lot of the properties they do own. I know in one of the Lara Croft Guardian of the Light game, you can actually download Kane and Lynch skins, so you can play the game with Kane and Lynch, like either or of those characters, and it's interesting that they have this available DLC that you can download that just cross promotes their other games. And I mean, it's the same with Tomb Raider. You can actually purchase and download Agent 47's guns and use it in the single player, which is pretty cool. I didn't buy it, but I know that it's available. They're not getting me that easily with that DLC.
What do you think is the strangest cross-promotional gameplay? Characters in other franchises or references to other franchises that you see in the game?
The weirdest one, I don't know if this is an actual one, but I did see a really quick snippet. I don't know if you saw it. It was on Destructor. It said Michael Myers in Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yeah. Oh,
that was weird. I don't know if that's actually something that's real, and probably is. He plays Michael Myers.
Or what was it? Freddy Krueger in Mortal. Why? Like, I understand. Like, okay, it's fantasy horror. He can fit in there if you really, really try, but it didn't make sense. Like, Michael Myers is supposed to be just this slasher icon. I don't understand. What is going on there?
Well, that and Kratos, too. They didn't seem to stand out that much either.
Oh, Kratos, yeah.
He stood out the most weirdest compared to Freddy Krueger. Or at least Freddy Krueger, like I think it blended in with that art style that Mortal Kombat has.
No, I got...
What you got?
Mm. That is true. With Darth Vader and Yoda, and I'm just wondering to myself, are you telling me that this game is canon with the Star Wars trilogy?
Oh,
are you actually saying that like a bunch of these people fighting on a planet would for some reason have Darth Vader come down and take a swing at them, and he's got a fucking laser sword that can cut through metal? Why is he even here? I don't know why.
I don't know. In Soul Calibur, right? That's one of the weird things. Put him in there.
Soul Calibur Quattro. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there's a lot of fighting games that have very strange crossovers. There was a time where Team Ninja and Bungie were really buddy-buddy, where in Halo 3 they had the Hayabusa armor, which was essentially just like you look like Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden, where you have cool kind of ninja looking outfit. You got a katana on the back of your armor. It's like, oh, that's cool. And then to repay the favor, they Team Ninja, for one of their, I think it was one of the Dead or Alive games, you got to play as a Spartan, and it just like, I'm not sure that this entirely fits. Like, she's a time traveling Spartan, and she's just going back and fighting for what reason? I really don't know, because it just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, very odd, but to get back what I mentioned earlier, I did play some DMC during our long departure from the podcast, and I quite enjoyed it. Enjoyed my time with DMC.
Nice. Have you beaten it?
I have beaten it, yes.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'd love to hear what you had to say on it.
I thought it was fantastic. I like the presentation, just the overall look of the game. It's got a nice art style. The combat's really good, and yeah, just there's so many possibilities you could do with those different combos, like you were mentioning. Just a variety of things you can do. Just I haven't even gotten as far as to grasp the entirety of the combat system, but I fairly did well for the most of the game. Great boss battles in there. Just visually amazing boss battles, especially the one with the news reporter, the anchorman. That was a really good one.
Bob Barbas?
Barbas, yes.
Just doing God's work.
Yeah, that was phenomenal, and just that little kind of turn at the end was pretty amazing as well. Like just that whole fight scene near the end, that was pretty cool, and left a lot of room to set up for another sequel, which I hope they do. I think that this game was really good, and what was it? It was a Team Ninja, right? The developer. Am I getting the right name? Ninja Theory.
It's a very
Ninja Theory.
They really need to come up with new developer names. Ninja Theory.
Ninja Theory really outdid themselves. They definitely have improved a lot in their combat. Since what was the last one it did? It was the last game. I'm trying to remember now. The last game they did, it was we both enjoyed that one. Enslaved. It improved and developed a lot more in their combat than previously to Enslaved, which was kind of like more of a two button combat system kind of there. But they really
you didn't really play that game for the thrill of the combat.
Mm-hmm, that was kind of just a way to progress the story, I guess. That's why I was in there. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
it was functional, not really that engaging, especially compared to DMC, which is their most recent.
Yeah, DMC was a blast. The story was pretty good. I enjoyed that. And all this hoopla on Dante, I didn't see it because I probably don't have. Because I didn't play any of the DMC games, so I don't have anything to reference back towards. But he was fine. I didn't have a problem with him. And he definitely developed as the game went on. But it was not bad at all. This is probably my favorite game that Ninja Theory has done. I was about to say Team Ninja.
They are incredibly similar. They both work on hack and slashers, and they both kind of have some egotistical guys at the head of the pack of the developers. I can't remember who's the head of Team Ninja, who was like always wearing. He looked like I'm trying to remember. He looked like the Japanese version of Tommy Wiseau. Yeah. I'm trying. I'm gonna look this up just because.
Oh hi.
Yeah, just it does. Oh hi there, Ryu.
Ha ha ha. Team Ninja, DMC.
Team Ninja. It is just escaping me. No. Anyway, they seem to, and the guy who was the head of the developers at Ninja Theory, I think, well, at least the Tarsum, he was very. I think he had the best of intentions at heart, and I wish he just kind of was saying that they're taking it in a different direction. But he just kept on saying like, "Oh, we need new, fresh direction because the old one's stale. It's not cool anymore." It's like, listen, I agree. I completely agree that the old DMC is kind of stupid. It's kind of lame. It's not exactly up to date, fresh with at least anything that's going on in current trends. I was not a big fan of the previous iterations, but don't say that to the fans.
Don't say that.
Okay, just because have you seen video game fans? They get up in arms if you change the design of a character slightly. Do you think that they'll forgive you for going near it and saying that their franchise that they love is not the most perfect thing on the face of this planet?
I mean, that's the side of gaming I dislike. To be honest with you, just the complete nonsensical fans of certain franchises that get crazy for any type of change that goes on with whether it be a long running franchise or a franchise that just got rebooted, anything like that. Just they get crazy. They overlook that fact and don't focus on the actual core product, rather just more of the character designs or anything that might have changed during that process.
Mm-hmm.
I did link you to that photo if you see it. I think this is the
of
the I believe it's the creative director. It looks like Tommy Wiseau. Might be in the chat there.
Tomonobu Itagaki. And so just looking at Tamine. Yeah, that's
go.
He's the only person I know in the entire world who has a flock of seagulls haircut. Like I'm just still waiting for him to be to get shot on the couch by just by Vincent and Samuel Jackson.
Seems like he did also model the character after himself, didn't he? Of Dante, or that was just a coincidence there.
They will say they hate a game, and not only will they say that they hate a game and they don't want you to enjoy it, but if you say you like a game, they will hate you for it vehemently. Like, they can't ever be just happy for you for discovering some joy in it. It's not just you're wrong, it's you're wrong, and I need to bother you about it until you change your mind.
Crazy.
It gets a little wonky at the end of the day, and especially with stuff like Halo 4. I had some tiny minor gripes about it, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, this is a really well put together game. And then I just go onto these boards. It's the people saying like, yeah, this is the worst shit I've ever played in my life. It's like, okay, well, you've only probably played 2 games, and you just don't have any idea. Playing that and some Halo 4 multiplayer, as well as Lego Marvel. I got that one as a kind of fun little gift for the holidays, and playing it. Yeah, pretty fun. It's I kind of wish that I don't know, that like this would make a great Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Just like if it wasn't Legos, just like all the characters you could choose.
Oh man,
swinging around Manhattan or just enjoying a good time. Like, oh man, I'd kill for that one. But this is a good one too. I like it.
Yeah, they seem to be really getting it done with those Lego games. Like, I remember there was a time where I really wasn't into them, and then now they got kind of this slightly open world aspect to them, and then they have voices now compared to just the gibberish Sims talk they used to have. They got the Lego games they're picking up. I remember playing a demo of the Lego Batman 2, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, you can just spend so much time just breaking stuff and just collecting blocks to get up to that high score of each level. That was just fun.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember how weird it was that they were announcing a Star Wars Lego game, and people were like, "What, Legos? You can buy Legos. What do you need to do that for? And why a Star Wars game? And why a Star Wars Lego video game?" And then And now we've got that, Indiana Jones, Harry Potter. I think Lord of the Rings had one.
Yeah, they did.
And DC Comics and now Marvel, and they're just printing money. Just because like everybody loves Legos, and just add them onto video games. And apparently, anything that happens becomes awesome, or very financially viable.
Pretty much. I don't know if we discussed this, but we did. We probably already played the new Walking Dead, the season 2, episode 1.
The last time I talked to you, I had not purchased the first season of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But I did since then.
Good stuff.
I got.
Good stuff. I thought that was a pretty solid episode.
I say that for what the developers made the player do in the middle of that story, I wanted to punch someone in the face. Like, you son of a bitch! I knew it the first moment that I saw it. Like, I know what you're doing. Don't you dare! And I still fell for it anyway. And then I felt like, oh, you sons of bitches! I hate all of you.
I knew that'd get to you when we got to that part.
I actually felt pretty sick after that.
I knew that'd get to you when they got to that part. It's like, God damn.
What? I don't even want to say what it is, because the moment I say the word that of what I'm thinking about, it's something. It's an actual living thing. But when I talk about it, people are immediately going to know, either kind of guess where it's going to go, or what twist they do with the thing.
Yeah, we'll keep it vague, but I think for those who we probably discussed some things regarding that. So I'm sure people could get a wild guess on that, or if they've already played it. So I'm sure they'll know either way. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty solid episode. I won't get too much into it. It's very, as we know, it's very story heavy, so it's kind of hard to tiptoe your way around it. But pretty good, and
Did you see?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, good stuff, and I don't know if it's just. I guess some people had more issues with it than I did. It's just technical wise, because every now and then it was the same for The Wolf Among Us. Like, there were scenes of action that go on in there that just, like, the frames dropped really, really badly. I don't know what's going on with that engine. They gotta, after all that money they made, I don't know why they haven't polished that up or get something going with that engine that just doesn't drop frames so much. Every now and then, it just sometimes the loading screens are pretty bad too.
Yeah, I mean, it's an old engine, but the upside of it is that you can play it well enough on almost every single platform, whether it's computer, console, the iPad, or the Apple Store, or I think even Android devices can get it. It's very, very playable with the engine it has. I think they obviously need an overhaul of it, but I think they use that same engine for all their other stuff with Jurassic Park and Back to the Future and the Sam & Max games, along with the Monkey Island games. Yes, and
from what I've heard, the second episode of Wolf Among Us is coming out in February, so looking forward to that.
Ooh. That one is. I'm more excited for that one than for The Walking Dead, just because, for The Walking Dead, I kind of know what to expect in the terms of. I have hope in humanity, and then the writers immediately dash that whenever I walk into the game, because this. I don't know if you have the same opening, but the season 2, episode 1 of The Walking Dead just starts off with this. There's a character in there that you're like, oh wow, these characters are going to be together forever, and then immediately I won't say what happens to them, but they're just kind of written out of the equation. It's like, nope, it's not going to happen. You're all alone, and guess what? There's nothing. There's no one left to help you.
Yeah, it was pretty abrupt how it happened. I thought they would stick a little bit longer to that character, but. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So it's just, I guess that's the world of The Walking Dead. You don't. It's unpredictability that kind of goes on, whether you agree with it or like it or dislike it. for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
But
Walking Dead and Game of Thrones are the two franchises that I'm like, listen, I really want to love the characters here, but I know for a fact that most of you are probably going to die.
I learned that very early on in reading the first book of Game of Thrones. Like, if there's a character you really like, most likely than not, he's not safe. Like, no one's safe on that book or the show, you know. So
it starts from like the most genuinely the morally adjusted characters. They're the ones who are probably killed off the fastest, and then all you left with are like the people that you normally wouldn't like in a story, and then you slowly get to like them, and then they're killed off, and then you have the characters who are like the incredibly big assholes, and you're like, oh man, they're gonna kill them off right now, and then they keep them on for like 3 like story segments. Like, are you kidding me? Come on.
Yeah, that's just great storytelling there. You like, people you hate are still outlasting the ones that are genuinely great characters.
You know, like, if for some reason George R.R. Martin and Joss Whedon got together to make a story, you know, it'd just be filled with like great characters so you love, and then completely destructive character deaths that you still think about like 5 years later.
Oh my god!
Like, after watching Serenity, I still have these moments of pain when, you know, just thinking about a certain character in there.
Yeah, man, he does that to you. So, yeah, like you said, I look forward to just anything new coming out of Wolf Among Us. It's something fresh. It's not as depressing, you know, not as depressing as Walking Dead, and just it's like I mentioned, it's just something fresh, and I just love the look of it, and just the whole.
It's so vibrant.
Just the whole detective aspect to it. I like that, the crime stuff.
And it's strange, just because I kind of tangentially know the characters in the Fables storyline that they have, where, you know, it's the comic book series that The Wolf Among Us is based on. And at the end of episode 1, they do something pretty severe, which sort of, I guess, would contradict what the story does, but they have 4 freaking episodes to continue the story, so I have a feeling that they're going to reveal what happened, and if this is a prequel or an alternate timeline or whatever of the Fable storyline, because I'm pretty sure the Walking Dead video game is a separate storyline on its own, kind of like how the TV series is different from the comic book series.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's good that they kind of depart on their own, you know, on their own merits, and not just kind of rely on other work, and then just kind of leaves them room to do their own thing and not be tied down to something else, but also still staying loyal to the core elements of the franchise is based off of.
Okay. And they completely, like, they nail the genres that they're in with with the Back to the Future game. It was very much like, oh, it's adventurous, sort of lighthearted time traveling, along with some nice bits of character development and repetition of motifs or skewing of motifs. The Walking Dead, horrifying horror, building characters that you love, and then just getting rid of them in terrible ways. And then with The Wolf Among Us, it's this crime noir thriller where you're not entirely sure what's going on. And so you just have to kind of use your best judgment in those cases to figure out what's going on. Like, there's a lot of times where the investigation will be very reliant upon, okay, like, what are you going to do as an investigator? You're going to go here or here, that will change the story. And there's some pretty cool action scenes where you have to make split-second decisions that will affect how the story progresses.
Yeah, I really like the newer take on the combat in Wolf Among Us. That's a bit more involved than Walking Dead is, but good stuff. Looking forward to seeing what else comes out of those other episodes, and moving on to something that's not so depressing as The Walking Dead. I've also played and beaten, oh man, Assassin's Creed 4.
Ooh, very
Finally got
nice.
around to playing this game, and I wish I had played this sooner. I enjoyed the hell out of Assassin's Creed 4. I like the take they took on this one. Less kind of animus segments, and also slightly interesting directions they took outside of the animus. I think it's something interesting that is different and not they don't do too much of it to kind of just overwhelm you, and like they did with the past games, or just too much anime segments that took you out of the core essentials that you were experiencing in the main Assassin storyline. I think they did a pretty good balance act on this one. Love me the sea shanties. Oh my god, the sea shanties in Assassin's Creed 4 are phenomenal.
It's great because they don't sound perfect. Like, they just sound like genuinely like a bunch of guys like decided to sing. Like, some of them are off key, some of them are not in rhythm, but it sounds just like really from the heart.
Yeah, it's from the heart. It just, there's so many different sea chanties you can collect just on very silenced, and I always went ahead and went far and beyond to get a lot of sea chanties just so I don't hear a few of the same ones, which are still awesome though. But I just wanted to hear more and more of what they've recorded of the sea chanties. They recorded a lot of stuff for those sea chanties while you're just headed out to sea from location to location, and they did a lot of things right in this game. There's not a lot of annoyances that the past games have had. There's a great balancing act of the fast traveling system of places you visited. Any place you visit, you'll automatically be able to fast travel there. Just a lot of stuff that saves you time that is slightly kind of unnecessary to go towards unless you want to be more immersed in that game as like I did a while back when I played Red Dead, where I rode the horse to everywhere without even fast traveling, and I really got into that. But nowadays I gotta get to place quick. I don't have time for this.
You got places to go, people to meet, things to do,
and yeah, I like the directions they took with it, and it's still Assassin's Creed. It has this small fair share of issues, but this one wasn't as buggy as 3 was, and not as frustrating. And that's something that's out of your control. The combat is still the same as it is, kind of Batman-esque, where you hit a button to counter, and then you kind of go from there. You start picking up chain kills, and if someone interrupts you, that's where you got to start over again. And these throw in some other of these big guys, these brutes, so you gotta wait for their attacks to kind of reverse, I believe, or just break their defenses or hit them from the back, and that's how you kill them. So
it's a far cry from the first Assassin's Creed game, where the end of that entire game just had like a giant wave of enemies around you, and you just taking them on one by one. Yeah,
just remembering that first game, like that ending fight scene with all those enemies like on screen, that was phenomenal. It was a pain in the ass, but it was a phenomenal segment. Just fighting like 20 dudes. It was like, and the combat wasn't as wasn't as tight as it is nowadays, but back then, man, whoa, that was quite a segment. Damn. But Assassin's Creed 4 is a solid game. I would put it up there with Brotherhood. I'm still deciding whether I like it more than Brotherhood. Brotherhood.
I definitely like it more.
I played a lot of Brotherhood. I mean, I like Ezio a lot, and Kenway was a pretty good character too. Like, he wasn't his traditional. It's not a traditional assassin like the other ones. Joined.
He's not even an assassin.
Not really. Yeah, I guess that's. I had to reverse my statement there. He just took someone's clothes, and that's about it.
It's like the assassin just left his clothes up to dry in the hanger, and then Edward just like comes out and like just steals it. And they go, "Hey, get back here!" He runs away with it.
He's just a pirate, always looking for booty and not caring about anybody.
In more ways than one.
Much.
There are a lot of female interests in this version of the game.
And a twist with one of them that I should have saw coming, but I don't know why I didn't notice it at first.
Good. I'm sorry.
What was that?
I was just saying that it was, even though I'm not a overall narrative of Assassin's Creed because I think they're stretching it out so much that it's kind of losing its own focus. That I do like a lot of things that they do with the game, like the whole social comment, not social commentary, but the commentary of the meta narrative of the actual game being a game, and then using the means of reconstructing history as a way to present the Templars in a more favorable light. I think that was getting back to the first game, which I love that one so much, is because they presented the Templars in a more morally ambiguous area, and that's what I like about this version. And I still think that the assassins are overall more kind of portrays the overall good guys, but it's still a much more interesting dichotomy than the ones that they had previously especially with the Ezio series. And I think that the Kenway beginning, middle, and end, that's a standalone story that does fit into the overall structure, but it's still a very, very good story that I like.
Oh yeah, definitely is different character compared to the other ones, and has his own motives, whether you kind of agree with him or not. He's just kind of out there for greed for the most part of the game, in order to just for himself pretty much, and hopefully getting good graces with being. He just wants a lot out of life rather than just appreciating what he has. He just wants it all. I don't know if that's a song, but
I want it all, and I want it now.
That's the theme of Assassin's Creed 4.
I was surprised when that was the actual main menu music that they had going on.
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah, this seems a little bit weird, but it's like, no, it fits.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the Animus stuff. It's what they did is interesting there. But they're still kind of stretching it out. Like some of the things they do in here, like even by the end of that Animus, out of the Animus storylines, like what the hell is going on here? Like I was digging what they were doing before, and then it just got crazy again, and just I don't know where they're going with it. Still don't know what they're going for.
I don't think the people who are writing it know where they're going with it.
But I like the segments you do out of it. Like it's in first person now. Like you're just playing a silent protagonist, and you're just kind of an employee at Abstergo, which is they just make games, and then it's nice collecting some data there, like around hacking computers and getting audio logs from Desmond and some documents, say, of future, I guess, Abstergo games they're considering, and then you get to see the previous assassins that they're considering and then denying, and just because for some various reasons, like Altair is like a selfish character, would not be good for our games here. So they're just denying and accepting other assassins. One of the female assassins they actually did go with. I haven't played Liberation, but that HD version looks pretty good compared to the PSP version. They really put a lot of work into that. It's a very significant difference, that HD version compared to the PS Vita.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It kind of reminds me of the Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker update they had with the Metal Gear Solid collection that they had with Sons of Liberty, Snake Eater, and Peace Walker together. And Peace Walker was originally on the Vita, and it was almost overwhelmingly considered a significant improvement, not only in terms of graphics, which looked really, really good on the consoles, for essentially a handheld port, but in terms of controls as well. So I maybe that's maybe the controls will be even better now that it's on. Really have a good amount of control.
Yeah, it looks good. It's like $20. The Liberation HD. I don't know if I'll play it. I think I'm trying to not burn myself out on Assassin's Creed. I mean, I was surprised enough that I got 4, because after 3 I was just burnt out. But 4 really brought me back to the good times of Assassin's Creed with Brotherhood and its heights. So I'm looking forward, if they do things right, and not, hopefully they don't have another one coming out this year, but hopefully that they get something more interesting going on the next one. If they do make another one. Most likely they will. And seeing where they go from
and
there.
And there's pirates in
Pirates.
Who doesn't love pirates?
No Witcher.
Oi, Witcher, look out for the booty on the port bow.
Man. Speaking of Metal Gear earlier, Metal Gear coming out in March. Actually, March. It's almost upon
Ground
us.
Zeroes.
Ground Zeroes. They're splitting up the kind of the two like in two parts here. Like the Ground Zeroes is the prologue to Phantom Pain, and it's interesting pricings that they're doing with it, because on the regular 360 and PS3 versions, they'll be about, I believe they're like either $20 or $30, and the next gen consoles are like $40 for Ground Zero. So it seems like it'll be a considerably good amount of content you'll get, at least. Maybe not as long as Phantom Pain, but at least good enough to hold you over till Phantom Pain comes out, which is kind of the meat and bones of that Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, it does seem like the prologue, and Kojima has said that he wished that they were released at the same time, but that wouldn't work out in terms of sales expectations, release dates. So, splitting up into two, not too bad of a compromise, but I'm looking forward to where Ground Zeroes and 5 goes, Phantom Pain, just because of the fact that Kojima has said that this is the most risky writing content that in the entire Metal Gear franchise, and it's going to sell, just because it's freaking Metal Gear. And the thing is, I thought it was Metal Gear Rising was the most risky story content that they had, and now they're getting they said that this is even riskier, which is dealing with child soldiers, and so I'm very, very interested in seeing what they do.
Metal Gear, yeah.
Colonel, what the hell? It's Metal Gear. I have to ask a question after every single sentence.
Have you seen any of the footage they put out for it? Like they did, I think, 2 videos of the day and night version gameplay. So like it's a little bit of the features from Phantom Pain are kind of making it in Ground Zeroes, where depending on, you can choose what day or night to partake in these missions, and they play out differently depending on which you select, which is pretty cool. And I like what they're doing so far. They added some new features on there, where some of that that reflex mode where things go in slow motion, you have enough time to shoot the guy that spots you. And it also has alternatives where you can actually turn those off and just kind of stick to the main core Metal Gear gameplay. So it's not completely changed, as some people would like you to believe. So it's fairly recognizing some of the newer features, and also you being able to play it as the original Metal Gear type of gameplay, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking and just comparing, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but just seeing someone put together David Hayter's original voice work for Snake and the new one, it doesn't seem like it's, from what they're doing now with Ground Zero, it just doesn't seem like it goes well anymore with what they're doing, the tone wise. It just seems so kind of out there. I always thought it was a very iconic voice, but I always thought it was kind of cheesy. I think it was probably intended that way, but just it doesn't go with Ground Zero. Yeah, very campy. Very campy, so I don't know.
Campy does not immediately denote poor quality. Let me put that out there right now. That does not mean that it's bad. Just that it's a bit more. It's a very obvious performance of when he's supposed to be obviously emotionally in distress, or when he's thinking about something. I think probably Kiefer will be bringing a little bit more subtlety to the role.
Yeah, I think he's gonna do amazing.
Hopefully. Knock on wood.
He's gonna be phenomenal. That's no doubt about that. I'm a big fan of his work on 24 as Jack Bauer. God damn it!
Hell yeah, and who doesn't love him from his drunken Christmas party photos? I think that's where the majority of people know where he's from.
I mean, he tackled that tree pretty good, man.
He and Ted Danson, man, like they just need to swap some notes.
Oh my god, it's so funny that he's. Have you seen the commercial he's in with? I'm trying to remember what drink it was, but It was some type of vodka. He's actually in a commercial. That was like he's like drink responsibly or something like that. Just and then when I saw that, I just thought about that drunken Christmas party he had.
Drink responsibly, unlike me.
Oh yeah, unlike Jack Bauer. Damn it.
Does it strike you as weird that Metal Gear is going to have a iPod, Walkman, an MP3 player before Grand Theft Auto does?
It is odd. It's also, I always find it interesting how they try to keep things fresh, even though the game that it takes place in is in the past. So I don't know how they're always keeping some of the technology sort of new, but yet old school. And I hear you can actually import your own music in there in Metal Gear, which is kind of would be interesting to see how that works. But with the Walkman feature in there, I think you're just collecting audio logs, which will be interesting to hear.
It was also I respected Kojima just because of the fact that he tweeted out like he was playing I think Ground Zeroes while he was listening to the Pacific Rim original soundtrack, and I'm like, you know what? I respect it for that. That is a good choice, and I will be playing that as well. And it's a good man. You have some excellent taste.
Yeah, I'll put on some Tom Jones.
Ooh, very very nice. I was thinking, putting on a little ground control to Major Tom over there, just to fit into the whole Cold War espionage action. And you were talking about how they had like future technology that they have back in the day. They had they have Walkmans now in Ground Zeroes, but one of the things that caught my mind was that they've been doing this since Snake Eater too. Mm-hmm. Like they were trying to they incorporated it was like the longest distance radio I've ever thought of was the flying platforms that they had. It was just like, I think this is not an actual invention. Maybe this is an alternate world. I'd like to think of that as.
Oh yeah, I mean now just talking about it, I feel like playing Snake Eater now, just to hear that intro. Snake Eater.
What a thrill! Climbing, they made climbing up a ladder badass.
Yeah,
how is that
possible? Anytime I climb a ladder that takes me more than 2 seconds to get up there, to start climbing and just get to where I need to be, I just start singing that Snake Eater theme song. I did a little bit of that for Resident Evil 4. They got some ladder climbing sections like what a thrill, especially the beginning there where you're up that clock tower. That was good. I did also beat that as well, Resident Evil 4. Quite an ending there. I kind of expected a bit more. Like I was very conservative. If anyone's seen my Deadly Fridays streams that I did every Friday of Resident Evil 4, I always kept a rocket launcher handy in case I needed it. And then at the end of it, I didn't even need it because Ada Wong throws you a rocket launcher.
Yeah, it's the specialty rocket launcher. It's just intended just for that boss, and but you can't disagree with the fact that was a pretty badass fight scene.
It was. I thought it was going to be more of a kind of, I guess more than 2-stage boss battle where you had to attack certain limbs, but I don't know. I thought it would be a longer boss fight, but it took me, less than probably 10 minutes to beat it. So. Yeah, I expected a bit something more. Compared, but it was good still because they're compared to that leading up to it. There was a lot of great moments in that game that I can probably list off. There's just so many other great moments that weren't even boss battles. Just great segments and just levels and just so many great ideas in that game. Just it's always something fresh and new. It never was the same thing in every section in that game. There was always something new they threw at you. It was quite the Resident Evil 4 experience. I can't believe I never played that on the GameCube. I feel ashamed.
No worries, man. It was as long as you get to enjoy Resident Evil 4, there's no worries. It's I think it is one of, for me anyway, it's one of my favorite games of all time, and I think that it's the right amounts of everything. I think it's campy in the right areas. I think it's dark in terms of the horror in a lot of places. it's definitely goofy at some cases and kind of making fun of the melodrama in Resident Evil 4, where there's a scene where Leon goes over to someone that there's two scenes. One, he's going over to, well, I don't know, I'm just going to spoil it because it doesn't freaking matter, because it's not that emotionally investment. Like, he goes over to Lewis after he gets stabbed through the back and into the chest, and then he goes over, he's like, "Don't you die on me!" Like, dude, the guy has like a tree trunk sized hole in his chest. There's no way he's gonna survive that.
He's got more holes in him than Dennis Rodman, man.
Now hold on, let's not start insulting Lewis just yet. At least he didn't have a hole in his brain.
Oh, true that.
And then there was that one scene of him, like, you got a helicopter pilot. His name's Mike. And he's providing air support. Mike's
got like 3
awesome.
accents.
Yeah, he's got the American general accent and the stereotypical New Yorker accent. He's like, "Hey man, we are going to get some beers over here. Just getting some beers.
I got your support over here, man."
It's like Michael Fassbender at the end of X-Men First Class, where he just keeps switching back and forth between accents. And he's like, "Listen, just pick an accent and stick with it. Have you not seen Archer?"
It was amazing.
And then he gets shot down, and like Leon barely knows this guy, and he still gives out like the obligatory "Mike." It's going over the edge. And then you can survey the wreckage, and then like there's that vendetta, quote that they have where you can just say like, "Mike, I will avenge your death." Like, I'm pretty sure you just learned his name. I'm not certain you should really be feeling this much hatred for the guy.
No, I feel like I know the man for years. I mean, that segment, he helped me out a lot. He took a lot of dudes, and he took a lot of dudes out there.
"Hey, get out of the way! Hey, get out of the way!" He's like, "Yes, I know, I'm out of the way." Like, there'll be times where I'm like not even in the same area code as Mike, and he's still saying like, "Hey, get out of the way." I'm gone. I don't know how much further I can be in the game unless I turn it off and go down the street.
I know, like right at the cusp of that door, I just move on to the next segment, man. Calm down. Yeah, quite the memorable game. I will say that it's quite memorable.
And it's ludicrous. It's fun. Great areas. And it's just in the right amounts of everything. And I do wish that the rest of the Resident Evil series had that amount of charm and just balance of everything that Shinji Mikami really brought to Resident Evil 4. Like 5 was an unintentional parody of what, like, I think what lesser hands thought people enjoyed about Resident Evil 4. And then and of course my favorite thing is like there was the controversy of like with Resident Evil 5, it's like, "Oh, you're in Africa, you're shooting Africans. That's kind of racist," and you got a white guy being the protagonist. Like, okay, I can see maybe how you can misconstrue that into this is racist, racially insensitive. I don't think it was, but whatever. People are entitled to their opinions. And then they make a co-op partner who's black, and then you have supporting characters who are good guys who are black, and then they just have the most racially insensitive tribesmen who are essentially just like 1930s Warner Brother cartoons of black people in Africa. And I'm like, wow, way to sidestep that landmine and just fall right over the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, quite. Quite.
They might as well just been saying "unga bunga bunga" the entire time.
Might as well.
It's literally that bad. It
might have been less racist.
At least they would have been genuinely honest about it.
That's crazy how different that game's turned. Like the whole series has turned since 4. Like, they've never been able to top 4.
No, and then 6 was just like, okay, is there anybody who even gets why people enjoyed Resident Evil 4? It's not because they're doing forward crab walks or there's giant destructive. It was essentially just Gears of War
and quick time events.
Oh my! Like, nobody wanted quick time events. Nobody in Resident Evil 4. They kind of work because you wanted to pay attention to the cutscenes just so that you can have these cool little moments, like the knife fight with Krauser.
Oh, you're telling me.
Or at the end where the giant Leviathan fish thing is dragging you under the water, and you just got to press X really quickly to cut yourself off of it.
Yeah, that was cool.
And they're used well. Like, people remember when they used the quick time events because they weren't just like thrown haphazardly. I remember playing Resident Evil 5 and 6, and I'm just thinking to myself, wait, at what point did I ever use I remember I used QuickTime events, but where?
Yeah, they were in there when there was really something interesting going on, like you said, like those that knife fight QuickTime events, which I died like 4 times because I wasn't paying attention, and they were.
And they require some lightning fast reflexes.
Oh yeah, they go by pretty quick, and once you get the hang of it, because there's like at least 2 or 3 different sets of QuickTime event prompts you'll get. They never really are different as far as that, which is good. But yeah, you just gotta be paying attention and have quick reflexes. But yeah, I did it about 4 times, but it was a cool little scene there. That wasn't even a boss fight. It was just more of an interactive cutscene, more than anything.
Yeah, they don't add much, but they just, I don't know what it is about it. It just a little bit of extra flavor in there. The thing I've never thought of in terms of a lot of cutscene, QuickTime events in games is that it didn't detract from the game. It didn't detract from the story. It didn't detract from the cutscenes. And I've never thought about that with any other game that used QuickTime events.
Mm-hmm.
Like every other game that used it, I just thought to myself, this is kind of pointless, or I'm really noticing how much I don't want to do this. But with Resident Evil 4, it's like, it's fine. It works.
Yeah, alongside of those few other games I've played, like I mentioned, DMC, Resident Evil 4 when I finished it, and Assassin's Creed 4. I also picked up a 3DS as well. I'm getting into that handheld market there, which it seems like that's the most successful thing that Nintendo's got going on, actually, compared to the Wii U. Like,
low blow, Mr. Splinter. Low blow.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, the 3DS, it's a great device, man. I didn't think I liked it as much as I did. I picked it up. I'm really loving it. It's 10 times better than the PSP. Like the PSP, I only played 2 or 3 games on it and just never touched it ever again. But the 3DS, I'm just constantly playing something on it. I bought a bunch of games for it which I haven't played. I played a little bit of the Liberation Maiden, the Grasshopper game, where you play like the a president's daughter who becomes the president, and she's just like in a mech suit.
I was looking at that trailer and I just thought to myself, okay, was this done by a Japanese guy who failed his course at like American politics? Who's just like, yeah, it's like the president who becomes like he probably thought like the commander-in-chief meant like that the president actually was like on the front lines, like directing his troops. Like, I don't think you understand what that means.
Yeah, the trailer you might have seen. That's pretty much the opening cutscene to that game, and after that it takes off. You're just playing the game really quick. It's just you use the second screen to just take out targets. You hold down the touch screen and then target different enemies and just let go of them. They're just blasting rockets at them. It's a fun game. It's like it's set up in like very arcadey fashion. So you play different stages and rack up as much destruction as you can and just accomplish each mission. It's a fun game. Also bought Monster Hunter 3, getting into some Monster Hunter. This is the first time I played a Monster Hunter game. It's like a action adventure game. It's just a lot of a little bit of repetition in terms of just gathering resources, doing quests, killing these very uniquely awesome looking monsters, and just it's very RPG-ish in that fashion. You can obtain various items by killing these bosses and just random different types of enemies, just to further upgrade your stuff and just better prepare yourself with each quest. And some of them are just fetch quests, some of them are just kind of Monster Quest, and then it's an interesting game. I'm digging that. I was thinking about picking up either a Mario game on there. I heard Mario 3D Land is pretty good. I haven't picked it up yet. I also bought Shin Megami Tensei 4. It's like I'm really getting into these JRPGs. I want to get back. I want to get into these games, but I haven't played that one yet. And I also downloaded the Bravely Default demo, which is another JRPG, which is getting some good buzz. Hasn't come out yet. I think in February it comes out. And also bought me some of the not 3DS games, but the DS games for the 3DS. Some Phoenix Wright games. I'm looking to get into those.
I have always wanted to play Phoenix Wright.
They're fantastic. Like I bought 3 of them, of the 3 first Phoenix Wright games, and I also want to play the new one that came out last year, Dual Destinies. So I've been playing the first 3 cases in the first Phoenix Wright game, the Ace Attorney. I played those 3 first cases like 3 times already, because I've played them on my phone. I played them on what was it? It was my phone, and then it was on my iPod, and then I just never beaten the game. But I just decided to go ahead and purchase the game legal means and just play it on my 3DS, and I'm enjoying it. I love the Phoenix Wright game. There, it's like Matlock, but with a sense of humor. It's like these outlandish courtroom. They take a lot of incentives on just what happens in these courtroom proceedings. Like, you just pretty much, it's a mix of visual novel and point and click adventure. You just, you're investigating some areas here and you're pretty much defending your clients, and you get witnesses on the stand that say things that you try to contradict them with evidence you have, and they're always revising their lies, like, so many times. Like, this is not something that goes on in the courtroom, man.
How could you say that? They've done nothing but study the best episodes of Judge Judy.
It's just phenomenal. It's got a great sense of humor. I love the writing in that game, and just some silly characters, like there's an old lady there called Miss Oldbag, and just this creepy kind of, one of the cases I was in, like a creepy weird director guy that just uses a bunch of like, his dialogue is just either emoticons or just like different like LOLs, ROFLLs, and just all that stuff is in his dialogue. It's just silly. So we're back again, ladies and gentlemen. So that's Phoenix Wright, fantastic. I'm liking it so far. I still got 2 other games I need to finish for Phoenix Wright, so I've already received the second game already in the mail. So these little DS chips, and so I'm putting them in the 3DS. Really enjoying my time with these 3DS games. I haven't even turned on my 360 for about a week, and I just turned it on today to see what's going on the dashboard. But I've been spending my time mostly with the 3DS. I'm really digging it.
That might be my next move, just because I don't want to spend money working up to get an Xbox One or a PS4, especially since it doesn't have that good of a library. I'm not really excited about the next gen, and the consoles that I have right now, and just really essentially just the 360. They're not really advertising new games that haven't already been announced. So probably going to invest in some in the 3DS just to get a new steady line of good games still coming. Probably this and just through Steam. Like, I still want to play Gone Home, and I tried to play Stanley Parable, but apparently it's just not compatible with the version of Mac that I got. So I gotta wait for them to downgrade it for us country bumpkins over here.
Yeah, you should definitely, if you got the means, you should definitely get a 3DS. I mean, Nintendo had a great lineup of games last year, and then there seemed to be having some good lineup as well this year. So there's definitely some good games out available right now for the 3DS. Some JRPGs. If you're looking to get into some JRPGs and just some fun games here, man. Good stuff.
Well, excellent. Just because I would like to try to get a new avenue of games. I haven't done handheld gaming since Game Boy Advance, and I look forward to getting back into the game of handheld markets, not just through iPhone, because iPhone games are fine, but it's usually just swiping or one-touch button stuff, or there's something about actually having buttons as opposed to a touchscreen.
And free to play. That's most of them are too. And just actually having a full-fledged game that's not nickel and diming you like on the 3DS. It's an actual pleasant thing to go through, playing these handheld games that don't require much of that. Like you said, that a lot of just basic tapping of the screen or swiping or just trying to nickel and dime you every time just to play some more. You got like Candy Crush and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we need to talk about the candy.
Candy.
We need to get into the candy talk.
My goodness. All sorts of candy.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not been paying attention to the news, well, actually, do you know what I'm talking about?
Candy. I'm just thinking about like all sorts of candy right now. You just got me.
I got you jonesing for a fix of Skittles.
Yeah, I know, man. Now, what are we talking about here, man?
I is talking about the fact that King Games, the developers of the Candy Crush saga, have decided to trademark the word candy. That means any game on Apple's game. That any game. No, actually, let me reverse that. What they did was essentially they copyrighted the name Candy, and companies have 30 days to dispute the claim that they have right to the just the name. Any game or app that has the word candy in it is apparently infringing on their rights, which is bullshit, and they should be ashamed of themselves. But that aside, Apple has decided to support the move anyway, and just broadcast it, giving every single developer a warning that they will be essentially infringing on their copyright.
That's crazy.
And which is, exactly. It's like what Bethesda did with the word scrolls. Except this is more bullshit, because then right after all this happened, like they caught a lot of flack for doing this, and once again, bullshit. And then what to protect their quote unquote copyright. That's absolutely just ridiculous. They're only doing that to lessen the search for any other games.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Honestly, I miss the times of American capitalism, where in order to succeed you actually had to make a better product to win, rather than just suing the other guys out of business. And today came the big news of that King Games has now gone on to say that anyone who's using the word saga in their game pantheon of titles is infringing on their copyright. There's specifically one developer who is developing it's Viking Saga, I think, where it was an original game years ago, and now they're wanting to make a sequel for it, and now they said that they're just using that name to infringe upon the success of Candy Crush Saga, and then that of course is fucking bullshit, because this was a game that was invested. I think it was created many years ago. And it's now they're just making any claims, any random accusations. Like now I'm going to trademark the usage of air, so now anyone who's breathing it is infringing on my copyrights. And it's just this amount of bullshit that's getting through the system, supported by Apple. So fuck them too, because they're making Apple a lot of money, so that it's no surprise why they're backing that pony.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite ridiculous.
You know what I have to say about this? I think it's time for us to go on the same boat here. Anyone who's using the word bloody and thumbs in podcast is infringing on our rights here. I'm looking at you, Idle Thumbs podcast.
Ooh, burned. And you know, it's funny because I was actually looking at Bloody Thumbs podcast, and dude, I think we nailed it on the head at that time of aim ever for a podcast about video games, because there's like Blistered Thumbs podcast, which I love those guys who work at with the guy with the glasses reviews, and apparently it's part of that sort of conglomeration of
blasphemy.
Pardon?
Blasphemy.
Yeah, blasphemous! How dare he? How dare he copy thine origins and name? And and then there's a metal group that's called Bloody Thumbs. It's like, yep, and that's excellent. Just because of the fact that they have to now, if they want to have a podcast or something dedicated to them, they're gonna have to contact us, and we're gonna ask for dough.
I know we're already ahead of the curve here, man. Like, Blistered is almost close to being bloody. I mean, they're that close on the edge here, man.
Blistered is on the edge. Bloody is over the edge.
Oh,
we are going over Niagara Falls in barrels. That's how over the edge we're going with this podcast.
Fantastic.
And okay, I'm playing it. It still hurts, but I'm not really committed. So committed that I'm going to commit acts of self-harm against myself by continually playing, even though I know I should stop. Bloody is, we are so dedicated to kicking ass and taking names in video games that we are just we don't even have fingers anymore. We have nubs. This is how far it has gotten. We've done just terrible things in the names of video games, and that's how people know we're dedicated.
This is why I think you'd be into wrestling. I mean, you just cut one of the most amazing promos I've ever heard in my life. You'd be a good wrestling manager, man.
We'll commandeer the plane of video games and drag it into the sea.
That's how it goes.
Woo! Gold Train, baby. And then it's it really, I'm really happy with the podcast, of course, as we all are, and we're more than happy to have people who love us, and even more so for the people who are listening to us right now who have tried to find the Bloody Thumbs Metal group and decided to listen to us. So hello, how are you? And I hope you enjoy the show.
We hope you do too. So yeah, quite the story there, CH.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very just baffling. The things that people will go to make money.
You want to hear another? Would you like to hear another story about money making and just the ludicrousness of big business?
Oh man, since we're on the subject, I think it's a better time than ever.
Well, for those of you who do not know, the MPAA, which is the Motion Pictures Association of America, is really worried because of piracy. Because piracy is taking millions of dollars away from revenues, and that's understandable. Like, they want to protect their investments by having people actually pay for their product rather than just see it and then just move on. So what they decided to do was, very recently, they had what happened was one of the AMC theaters had was actually hold on, I'm just pulling this up right now. AMC movie theater was showing a screening of Jack Ryan, the Jack Ryan movie, starring Chris Pine, who is neck and neck with Sam Worthington in terms of how bland he is as an actor. But that aside, there was a guy who walked in with his wife wearing the Google glasses, which are the glasses that are basically kind of like a miniaturized computer. Mm-hmm. Very cool. I don't know when you would ever use it, but whatever. And so they thought he was going into the movie and recording the movie because he still had his glasses on, but they weren't on. And so, quote unquote, like, they weren't electronically on, but they were still on his face. Mm. So what happens was, within the span of 1 hour, the movie theater contacted the MPAA, who contacted the the Department of Homeland Security, who's apparently responsible for movie piracy, and they essentially what happened was that federal agents came by and took the couple into separate rooms, and the pair were searched and interrogated. And over an hour, the federal agents told the guy that he was not under arrest, and that it was a voluntary interview. But if he chose not to cooperate, bad things may happen. And that
sounds pretty voluntary to me. Then,
yeah, it's like, you don't need to be here, but what could happen? You got some nice kneecaps there. I'd really hate to see anything bad happen to them. Is that your car outside? Yeah, it would be a real shame if somebody took a tire iron to that thing. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good thing you're here doing voluntary interviews. That's mafioso.
Oh,
essentially,
no.
It was, and the thing is, they didn't even go and ask him, like, whether or not, like, he was recording the thing or not. Like, he was just wearing them in the theater, and they didn't go like, "Sir, could you please take those off?" or, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir, could we check to make sure that those aren't on?" It was just like, we're getting federal agents to come down here, waste their goddamn, like, this is a waste of fucking time. This is a misallocation of resources. Go foil a terrorist plot or something. Like, don't spend your goddamn time chasing down people who are just sitting in a theater, at worst getting a crappy quality video of Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit, which is a crappy movie, from what I can tell on Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, all movies.
It's not Godfather, and it's so freaking idiotic. And contacting Homeland Security for something as trivial as this is not only revealing two things. One, it's a huge misallocation of resources, and the Department of Homeland Security apparently doesn't mind doing that. And two, which is that the MPAA has so much pull in the government that they can get federal agents to come down to actually deal with people maybe not even sure pirating a movie in a movie theater. And that scares me, how much pull they have in Congress. Yeah. That these people are just such a huge monopoly that and of interests that they can just send their goose-stepping goons over here just to stop Mary and Joe Smith from seeing a film because they think they might be recording something.
I'm afraid to wear my glasses now.
I know they're going to think that there's a mini transceiver in there. I probably shouldn't bring my cell phone either, or else they'll think that I'm just recording the entire audio of the film from my pocket, even though my camera's obviously not pointing towards the screen.
I mean, I think the same thing could be done or said about people bringing in phones in the theater before the movie even starts. Like, for all you know, I mean, they'd probably be doing the same thing. I mean, just because they don't have them out at that moment, it doesn't mean they're not. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, like Adam Jensen from Deus Ex once said, corporations have more power than the government.
Yeah, and that is and I feel like that already that's not a warning for the future. That's happening now.
Yes.
They have so much goddamn control that corporations are now they're treated as people. Under the law, they have the same rights as people. It's like, are you people fucking kidding me? They're not people. People don't have 500 employees. I need my medication. This is depressing, and it's also terrifying. This is shit George Orwell would not have believed. If, like, you told him this, you'd just be like, that's stupid. That would never happen. Why would that ever happen? Yeah, I made a book kind of making fun of this, but no, that wouldn't happen. And it happened.
Well, shit.
Well, shit, Captain.
That's like, I still think about that scene. Like, that's one of the most randomest things in that game. Like, the game takes itself, it doesn't take itself seriously, but the game is pretty, it's pretty, I'm trying to, I guess.
I would say it takes itself rather seriously.
Yeah, to some extent. Like, it's almost like it has this mood of, like, post-apocalypse, but it's not. But it's futuristic sci-fi with some ups and downs. Like it has its high class, has its low class. Most of it is it's low class, but just out of nowhere, like you get this story about, what's it mean to be human, and then all of a sudden you see a woman digging through trash, with just a like 1940 way of speaking, just out of nowhere.
I think even people part of the KKK, this is a bit much.
Yeah, it was just I didn't find it offensive, but it was just like so random and weird that they had that in there. Like, I don't know, like it just stood out the most, like throughout. Anything else that's in that game, that part just stood out to me. I
think they just wanted to get their weirdness kick out of the way first, just so like they can have like the rest of the game just like to be serious and have characters who are well-rounded and realistic. Just to have the most flamboyant, racist depiction of a human being since the Mandarin in the Marvel Comics movies. I'm sorry, the Mandarin in the Marvel Comics comics.
Mm.
Just because, like, the original Mandarin, he's essentially just the Uncle Tom of Chinese people.
Yeah, that's from what I hear. But yeah, I got a Deus Ex was a good game, man. I want to play that director's cut. I hear that the boss battles are better, and there's some just additional content in there. I don't know. That's one of those things one of those games I'll probably repurchase one day and play again, because boss battles weren't terrible, but they certainly kind of contradicted the game's mechanics on what they were setting out to do. Because you can play the game stealthily, you can play the game very combat oriented wise. You can play it both, much like Splinter Cell Blacklist. But with the boss battles, it seemed more combat focused. So like any character that if you played, if it was a stealth character, you'd be kind of really screwed and just have a hard time getting by that. Even that first boss, like it just he takes you out of cover and like throwing grenades at you, and just it was insane, that boss battle.
There is sort of a dissonance between the two, and it does show, and it was developed by a separate group that did not work on the main play experience, and that really does show. And they did release a director's cut. Apparently, there are a lot of things that are done better in terms of the boss fights, and you have more options, and you have more weapons, and like you can hack turrets. And once again, it still won't count against you if you want to have a no-kill record, even if you do kill these guys. Because, it's almost impossible to engage these guys on the regular Deus Ex Human Revolution game that does not have the director's cut stuff onto it without having to resort to, the violenter means.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot of it is well done now. It's like in-house, so it's like, I guess those sort of segments, they probably rushed it. And they probably would have had, if they were given more time, those segments would have been a bit more better. But nevertheless, that game still left a good impression on me to this day. So definitely something I will probably eventually go back to one day. That was a good. You don't see a lot of steampunk games out these days, so that's why I kind of attached myself to it a bit more than most. I like the steampunk.
Yeah, and I would say, steampunk. I think steampunk, as a fictional element, still has a very, very good place in video games. I think there's a lot of things that can be done with it. Dishonored, I love the world of Dishonored. I think Deus Ex Human Revolution, is that steampunk or is that techno-punk or necromancer punk or whatever No, Technomancer, I think, was the book. Yeah, I definitely like that feeling of a different world that has different mechanics and literally like different mechanical stuff. Like one of my favorite worlds of video games is the Crimson Skies universe, just because it's all about like the early 20th century fascination with airplanes and blimps and zeppelins and sky travel and like that. I like that, just like finding an entire universe built around that different concept rather than maybe trains and other modes of transportation in our universe.
Yeah, definitely. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I don't have.
Yeah, I think this is just more
news topics here. There's stuff still. It's still the early part of the year.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I think this has been, quite as fun as always. Like getting back into the rhythm of things, to just podcasting in the new year, discussing what we've been playing, and certainly some little dabs of some news topics here. It's been good, man. Glad we got to get on the podcasting train once more, and getting excited for this year to come and see what happens in games and just the podcast in general. Definitely some plans. I have some ideas of things we should could work on this year. So to add even more to the Bloody Thumbs podcast brand. I mean, it's already copyrighted, man.
And hey, we can always just start copywriting more things. Like we'll copy Bloody, and then we'll copy Thumbs.
I mean, little by little.
And then soon instead of just words, we'll just take over the letters, and then eventually just all human speech, and then all human senses, and then it'll just all become ours. So good on you, man.
Yes. So. Yeah. Other than that, if you don't have anything else that you want to discuss, maybe some other games you've been playing or anything like that, then I think we'll call this podcast a wrap.
I mean, I just started the Marvel Legos thing. I haven't really played too much into it, but it's lighthearted fun, and I think that's a nice change of pace from a lot of the grim and gritty games that I've been playing. I did replay a little bit of Metro Last Light,
nice.
And I happened to be watching Band of Brothers, which got me back into replaying Brothers in Arms, and that's a series I really wish that they had added more iterations to. That I don't think Hell's Highway is the best game in the franchise, just because I think there's a lot of weird story stuff that they do in there, but I definitely think that was a good military shooter, just because it was actually very respectful of the idea of tactics and strategy, and the fact that a lot of these soldiers have post-traumatic stress disorder, obviously, and suffer horrendous deaths, sudden deaths, just horrifying moments, and that very much kind of like the actual Band of Brothers stuff. Not as, I don't think, well explored as Spec Ops: The Line, but definitely along the lines of kind of taking military warfare a bit more seriously than the Call of Duties out there.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about Band of Brothers. I never gotten the opportunity to play them, but just hearing your thoughts on them seems pretty interesting there.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those series that I really wish that they had continued. They were going to do Gearbox, who unfortunately had two big stinkers in a row with the Duke Nukem Forever game, and then the Aliens Colonial Marines game. After that, then before either of those games, they were planning on doing a Brothers in Arms, a 4-player co-op, which was. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was like a very lighthearted, very violent, maybe Tarantino and Glorious Bastards inspired thing, where it was just like them going around killing Nazis.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of back when they showed that trailer.
And it was just so weird, because it's like, have you not played the Brothers in Arms game, where they are, it's incredibly serious. They don't treat this at all with a tongue-in-cheek sort of thing. They went out of their way to be respectful, and then here it is doing the Tarantino thing with it's yeah, we're a bunch of crazy guys to fuck shit up and blow stuff up and kill all Nazis. Are you sure this is developed by the same people? And it's just so strange, and I'm glad that it's not on the market, and that there's no word going out about it, just because it just seemed else, then maybe I'd be down for it. But it's just you don't go into playing, I don't know, when you have a franchise that's well established, people come to expect certain things about it,
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know, definitely with Gearbox, I don't know what their plans are in the future. I mean, they haven't had the best reputation of their past few games. I mean, they certainly had some potential after they released the first Borderlands, and then I wouldn't put the blame completely on them for Duke Nukem Forever. That project was just kind of dead in the water already. It was just too much time and just so much different resources have been put in it that you couldn't really do much of it other than just start from scratch. Which I'm curious to see what they'll do if they ever do put out a new Duke Nukem game just from scratch. I think they're probably the developers to do it right. But definitely what killed them the most was the Alien Colonial Marines. Definitely killed the most on that one. And that other, I don't know, have you seen the footage for the new other Aliens game that looks a lot better than the Colonial Marines?
I have not. I have heard that it looks, very, very positive, cautiously positive responses. I have not yet. I'll probably go check it out, but I'm just not. I'm not interested in the Alien or Aliens franchise as much as other video game players are, just because I don't know what it is. I just never caught on to that. I just never caught on to that train. Even the kind of other brother franchise to Aliens, which is the Predator franchise, which I find a little bit more interesting. Like, I'm not really interested in that either. It's because especially for Aliens, I've seen there have been movies that have done what it has done and done it better, and I just don't see why. The absolute undying love for the franchise that has just had such a weird career, because you had like the Aliens versus Alien versus Predator stuff. You had the Alien Resurrection movie, which was just god awful. That was painful to watch. And then it was Aliens 3 with David Fincher. David Fincher couldn't make an excellent Aliens movie, but lo and behold, guess what? It's it didn't work out, and I don't know what it is. It's just never worked for me.
Tomato. Don't tell Jim Sterling that.
I will fight Jim Sterling over this, just because. First off, Newt. People who just fuck Newt. Fuck Newt. She is a annoying little bastard child. I hate her. I wish she was dead. I'm glad she died at the beginning of Alien 3.
My God.
I genuinely am. No, I'm not. Don't quote me on that one, because people will think I'm a lunatic. I just think that she's not a well-developed character. Like, after playing Clementine in the first season of The Walking Dead, where they actually develop her as a character, I'm playing Lee, teaching Clementine, like, developing her as a character in the first season of The Walking Dead. That's a great character. And it's not just saying, like, oh, it's a character child, therefore feel for her. Because that's exactly what they do with Newt. They don't develop her at all. It's like, oh, you should feel sorry because she's... I can sympathize, I don't really empathize.
C.H. Gora, I'm glad Newt died. That quote.
God damn it, that's what I'm trying to get away from this conversation. I can't win.
Well, yes, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be great, but from what I saw, it looks promising. If not because of the Aliens property, but more of it looks. Again, it has potential in the survival horror aspect of it. That's probably why I found it a bit more promising than in that aspect for the most part. Just the survival horror aspect. I like survival horrors, and this one looks pretty promising.
Well, I mean, there seems to be a lot of new types of survival horror coming out. Like, people are starting to really, really get into the kind of very a vulnerable horror that they have, where they have what is The Evil Inside, I think, is also coming out, where it's very similar to, like, you are essentially, it's like Dead Space if you didn't have any of the kick-ass powers to fight back.
Is that the Shin Megami game, or is that another game? I'm trying to remember.
The Evil Within.
It's some game like that. It has it's from the guy that did Resident Evil. I believe it might be that game, or it might be another game. But I did see footage of it. It looks just terrifying. It looked terrifying.
Yeah, and I think there's more of it just because people have seen the success of Slender and other types of kind of more indie developed horror games that actually kind of focus on the traditional horror aspect that I think a lot of developers said like wouldn't survive these days in a AAA environment or like a well-funded game, because these are doing gangbusters for the type of budget it has, and they know their audience. They know they want to be scared. They know it doesn't have to be a huge budget. It just their money and to get them motivated for the next one. And that's I think the big problem that a lot of AAA developers can't. They need to have such a huge budget, and in order to do that, they need to make back their budget, and they need to make it a huge game. To make it huge, they can't have it in an intimate personal space, which is what horror really needs to have to thrive. And I think they are trying out this kind of newer model too.
Yeah. We'll look forward to that. Oh, I forgot to mention, they probably haven't played it yet, but I remember I did get you Papers, Please. That's definitely one of the highlights of last year. One of the games I did like. One of the few indie games I played that I did like. Papers, Please.
I will check out Papers, Please.
That's a good one.
I have not. I got Papers, Please from you, and I purchased myself Gone Home, and I want to play those two.
How much more to enjoy? I look forward to hearing what you think of them when you get to them.
Well, I will. You will be the first to know. I've heard nothing but good things about Papers, Please, and I heard the big critics like Adam Sessler who have sang a lot of the praises of Gone Home. And apparently, did you hear that Gone Home, the writer of Gone Home, said that it's actually canon in the universe of BioShock and System Shock?
What? That's crazy.
Bunch of references to BioShock 2's Minerva's Den DLC. And
well, it is the same developers that did work on Minerva's Den, so that's there's a little bit of the relations between those two. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yes, it's just so weird. It's like listening to I'm trying to think like this, knowing that Spec Ops: The Line is still in the same universe as Super Mario Brothers. It's like they don't add up. It's like that kind of seems strange.
Well, it's a little bit of a mind blowing thing to know that Hitman and Kane and Lynch are in the same universe. When you encounter them at that shooting range. Yeah. Quite the mind blowing experience for me.
Yeah, they certainly. I like the fact that they kind of take place in the same universe, whereas Kane and Lynch, I think, are just two screw-ups who barely escape alive in everything that they do with, in the same universe as Agent 47, who is a complete master assassin at everything and can take anyone down given any weapon or any material. And it's a very interesting dichotomy you have between the two of them, especially with reserved Agent 47 and these two guys who won't shut the hell up.
He's like a MacGyver, but if he was an assassin.
I'd like to see that movie, MacGyver Assassin.
That'd be awesome. It's crazy. Like, I don't know if they're still even working on it. I remember when they were announcing, the Kane and Lynch movie, and then there was they were doing
Jamie Foxx, right?
Yeah, Jamie Foxx and Bruce Willis, and then they were doing another Hitman movie with Paul Walker that passed away, unfortunately, and then they have another actor replacing them, and it seems like they're still going forward with another Hitman movie, which it looks like it will be like a reboot instead of a sequel. But yeah, it's strange, the movie business and these ideas they have.
Well, the thing is that what's really surprising is that Kane and Lynch, both entries have sold fairly well, even though they got middling to bad reviews. That they still sold respectable numbers. I think even Kane and Lynch 2 went gold with how many pre-orders it had, and as well as sales. Even though it was it was even more criticized than the first game. And Yeah, I would be interested. I just like that idea of these two characters who are so absolutely deluded in their own psyche that they think that they can really change the face of their fate just by how much they can do underhanded things. And just it keeps getting worse for them. Like you think they've hit rock bottom, but they can go farther. Like they brought their own shovels to when they hit rock bottom.
Deeper.
Just that opening scene of Kane and Lynch 2, where they're being tortured. It's just a smash cut of Kane screaming at the top of his lungs like 6 days earlier. It's like that. I like that idea of just these guys will go with the most horrific turn of events, survive them, and still come out even worse than before, but still alive.
Yeah. I mean the few things that game did right. That beginning was pretty cool, and I like the visual presentation they had. They went for the shaky cam presentation throughout the whole game, which just it looked like somebody was following them the whole game, running behind them, and just this. It had an interesting look going for it, but gameplay wise, it's not one of the best. It's just very, very buggy and glitchy, and fortunately, it wasn't the brightest gem that IO has done. They're very good at making Hitman games, and I think that's something they should stick with for the time being. I don't know if I want them to be. I'd like to see them do something different. I think, but they, with every Hitman game they put out, I think they do something a little bit different with each one. It's not like. It's not like DICE with Battlefield, but I'm sure they do a little bit
minor improvements
with things in there. Yeah, minor improvements, but I think with IO and Hitman, they do very vast improvements and always doing things to freshen up the formula of Hitman. So,
well, they certainly. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that they certainly don't rush it every year. Like they don't make it a yearly release with the different coat of paint, or even like. With Activision splitting up the Call of Duty every other year to different studios, it's just one studio working on it, honing their craft, and having a dedicated fan base that they really do listen to.
Oh yeah, I love them. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So yes, on that note, I think we'll go ahead and just say our goodbyes here. It's been real, man. It's good to be back.
Yeah. It's been a distinct pleasure, good sir, and I would like to say thank you very much for recording with me tonight.
Oh yeah, definitely. And for those out there listening, thank you as well for tuning in. I know it's always interesting to figure out when we'll be back. You never know. We've been kind of a little inconsistent, but if you've still managed to check us out when you do figure out we're actually putting out a podcast, we do appreciate it. It's always
our
good.
Fans will find us.
They will find us.
Either that, or they'll accidentally find us looking up Blistered Thumbs podcast.
That's a possibility. Or Idle Thumbs, maybe. I'm stretching it there.
Or the heavy metal group Bloody Thumbs. I
gotta check them out.
I assume that they just did it as a tribute to us, so they're probably our fans.
Maybe. So, on that note, folks, thanks for listening again. This has been episode 147 of Bloody Thumbs Podcast. As always, you can check us out on Twitter at Splinter47 and you, CH Gorog, at CH_Gorog. And what other avenues
you are
of social media?
And I have a feeling that my next couple of Twitter posts are just essentially going to be every day sending King Games a new candy-related pun, and hoping that they just get sick enough to just stop doing this until and I assume they can't block me, or else I'll just make new accounts or whatever.
Well, you're doing God's work, CH. I wish you luck with that.
Damn right I'm doing God's work. Just call me one of the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, whenever you do come up with any videos, you can always follow CH on YouTube. We'll put the links below as well. And myself, whenever I put anything out. I haven't streamed in a while, but I'll probably be looking to do that sometime this week or next week. I'll stream some game. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a fun thing to do. I like streaming. I like having that interactivity, if that's a word, interactivity with the viewers out there. It's fun. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. It is a very, very nice sort of turn of the internet now to allow people to actually have insight into games and to share their thoughts in a very active manner than just almost passively recording something post reading or post experiencing the art form, which is nice and why I like Let's Plays, and which is why I'm incredibly worried about their new policies on YouTube.
I think sooner or later, I think people will slowly start converting to like Twitch. They'll start streaming and then not have to worry about the restrictions of YouTube, because streaming you can make a pretty good living off of. I mean, you can get a lot of people watching it when you're going live. It's just like it's almost as good as watching a live sporting event. It's sort of similar to that, though. Just tuning in and just watching someone play a game and just it's quite an experience there, and just better than watching anything that's on TV nowadays. Like just 200 channels, I can't find anything to watch. I just start watching people's streams playing something.
Now wait a minute, you still have GQ TV.
Oh my goodness!
That has taken the place of G4, and you're discounting them, man. They may not even have an idea of what their demographic might be, but hey, give them a chance. I certainly won't.
I know. I have not. I have not seen that channel at all. I've seen the commercials for it, but I've not tuned in at all. I don't know what they show on there. No clue. Like we were talking about, no clue what the demographic is. Hopefully, I feel bad for the fans who watch G4, not for the right reasons, but just for those Cops and Cheaters reruns. I feel sorry for them the most. But they were the viewers that kept G4 alive.
It was like. It was like 21 hours of Cops and Cheaters, and then 1 hour dedicated, 30 minutes dedicated to X-Play, the other 30 to Attack of the Show, and then the other 2 or 3 hours were dedicated to just advertising revenue at like 3 o'clock in the morning from like fitness gurus and new toasters that are also blenders.
It's amazing how far the food technology has come. I mean, from the George Foreman grill to just the slap chopper. You're just slapping and just cutting your tomatoes and onions as quick as 1, 2, 3, man.
I mean, it's so innovative. It caused a new sensation with remixes of songs. That's how good it is.
That's amazing. So yes, thank you all for listening. You have a good night. Take care.
Absolutely. Love each other, and to steal from Splinter's wise words of inspirational quotes that I'm badly paraphrasing here.
Okay.
Be kind to each other, love one another, understand one another, and then exploit your national television for fame and glory.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, good night, everybody. And as always, I'm Splinter 47 signing off.
Good night, everybody. I am CH Gorog doing the same.